What's up, Mania Mafia? I'm back again with another video. You feel me? You feel me? You feel me? You know what I'm talking about. Alright, look, so we back with a video from Sidebar, Law and Crime with Jesse Weber, Epstein Files. Basically, this is 41 dirty and disturbing secrets found inside of Jeffrey Epstein's secret storage unit. It just gets crazier and crazier. But yeah, come on. Let's get into the video.
I want to go back to the email and see what was apparently inside that storage facility. The items removed from Epstein's house were 3 different computers, including 2 Dells and 1 HP Pavilion. Okay, now before we move on, it is worth noting that copies of 2 of the computer hard drives were apparently recovered by the FBI years later, but again, remains unknown if any of the material in that storage unit was ever found by authorities or if they ever raided it. Moving on, over 2 dozen telephone directories. 1 metal HS 8mm tape with over 2 dozen telephone directories. 1 metal HS 8mm tape with notations, including some photos, floor exercises, 2 jokes, dancing, shower, lingerie, and goodbye. Now I gotta note, hours of footage from the Epstein tapes have been released by the DOJ. You're talking lengthy periods of pornography, alleged victims taking videos in sexual positions, even children. But this specific tape may very well have been missing. I mean, in the files is a redacted email that says the following. Highly responsive material breakdown. Over 1 million images and videos were extracted from Epstein's devices. Approximately 34,000 were marked responsive.
34,000. What? So this is the thing, though. It's the thing with computers and... Okay, so over 1 million images and videos were extracted from Epstein's devices. Approximately 34,000 were marked responsive. So only 34,000 of those, quote unquote, they work. When you click them, they work. The other one, over 1 million, only 34,000 out of a million was working. Imagine if they're able to fix those broken links.
Approximately 15 to 20 images of CSAM, child sexual abuse material, less than 1%. Approximately 90% of the files are adult pornography, adult erotica, aged, difficult.
90% of the files.
Pornography and erotica, in and of itself, would be pretty disgusting, but you're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, so it takes on kind of a different meaning. I want to move on. 3 printed pages titled Individual Directory Listing, Massage, Florida, the inventory. Various different photographs, including 1 black and white photograph on white female lying nude wicker couch, 1 color photograph of white female standing nude in bedroom, 3 color photographs of 2 white females nude in the shower,
What?
1 black and white photograph of partially nude.
There's more?
White female with happy birthday written on it. 1 black and white photograph of partially nude white female. 1 black and white photograph of partially nude white female.
Yeah.
1 black and white photograph of white female. 1 color photograph of partially nude white female. 1 black and white photograph of white female written on back. Jeffrey, it's redacted. You better never forget about me. May 28th, we'll be traveling. Love, heart always, class of 2005. This is from Epstein, 2015. It says, now that I understand, try to take some nude photos. Be open, brave, sexy, wild, dance, jump, have fun, live. The response back, okay, I asked my friend, so she will take some sexy photos tonight or tomorrow. You got this response from Jeffrey Epstein. I think that you should take some of yourself first. Now, I want you to be free with yourself. First, I think you should study English, go online, there are many classes, then take the TOEFL test. The photos should not be porn, but should be sexy. Do you watch porn? Redacted, for example? What? You want to be free without being porn, but laugh, have fun. You're going to be 22, not 14 years old. Just to put that into context for you. Keep going through this. Magazines, including Purely 18, year 2000. Only 18, Barely Legal, Hustlers, January 2000. Now look, these in and of themselves are not illegal to own, assuming the women are at least 18 years of age, though the one titled Barely Legal is obviously eyebrow raising at the very least. One book
Yes,
titled
it is.
Complete Slave, Creating and Living an
What?
Erotic, Dominant, Submissive Lifestyle. One book titled Training with Miss Abernathy, a workbook for erotic slaves and their owners. Annual Guide to NYC Erotica, Sexy New York City 2000. 11 different boxes, including labels of sex toys. By the way, when I was thinking of that one, I was thinking, is there any, hate to say it, forensic material that could have been found on those sex toys, right? If you're talking about a sexual abuse case. Now,
Yo, this man was sick, bro. Like, to find all of this in a storage, like, he was, obviously he was hiding it from them, but they still found it. But damn, like, what? I like, it just baffles you, like, why?
theme around erotic slavery includes limitations on one's autonomy, freedom of movement, power to decide matters related to their own sexual activity. Is it elite? Maybe, but I gotta call it out. VHS tapes, including 30 VHS tapes of pornography, empty DVD of pornography,
30.
South Park Volume 5, South Park Volume 4, The Witches of Eastwick, 1/22/99 main house video, don't know why that specific date, but it's weird. Rush Hour, Madonna, The Trackers, Raging Bull, Beyond Rangoon, Not So Great Moments in Sports. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Epstein tapes released by the DOJ included long segments of pornography. Several of the websites seen in these videos contain the word teen, which, again, you have to question if these porn sites were even legal. But again, we don't know exactly what was on these pornography tapes. But again, they were inventoried, they were taken out. I do want to take a closer look at some of the movies included here because their summaries kind of stand out to me. So I want to start with The Witches of Eastwick. Here's a summary from Rotten Tomatoes, okay? 3 small-town friends, Alexandra, Cher, Jane, Susan Sarandon, and Suki, Michelle Pfeiffer, each having lost the man in their lives, are feeling unfulfilled until a furtive stranger, Daryl Van Horn, Jack Nicholson, arrives and begins courting each of them in turn. Eventually, Daryl tells them that they are witches, but as the 3 friends spend more time in his mansion, enjoying themselves and learning about their powers, they begin to worry about Daryl's ultimate intentions.
Yeah. I see where he's getting at. See where he's getting at with this. I'm following him. Yeah. I'm getting that shit's crazy. Like, cause you gotta remember he was doing some weird stuff on that island. So it's just like that kind of, he liked them type of movies. He wanna live that out.
Now, there are several different connections here. First, I just gotta say, Epstein could have just liked the movie, sure. But Epstein had multiple different properties. Palm Beach Mansion, Little St. James, right? Epstein's Island. The idea of this film, including women feeling unfulfilled and then a stranger comes along, begins courting them, and they begin to spend more time in his mansion, realize something's up. Sounds like based on the allegations that Epstein was facing. It's playbook.
Yeah.
The Trackers, I mentioned this film. Here's a summary of the film. It's on IMDb. A rancher comes home and finds that his son has been murdered and his daughter kidnapped by a bandit gang. He hires a professional tracker with a reputation for finding his quarry to help him find the gang and rescue his daughter. Now, I just want to make a note that this movie is centered around a ranch, and we have previously covered on Sidebar all of the theories surrounding, the allegations surrounding Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, where he allegedly sexually assaulted minors, even allegedly hid dead bodies. Now, could just obviously be a coincidence. Again, maybe he liked this movie, but knowing what is out there, unsettling coincidence. Also, by the way, the idea of a professional tracker in this film is interesting because it's alleged that Epstein at one point had set up and later removed technology connected to secret surveillance cameras from his Palm Beach mansion, fueling speculation that he was secretly spying on either house guests or victims, law enforcement, maybe everybody. Again, could I be stretching? Sure. But
Yeah, he was
I mean, if
watching
it's true
everybody.
that he removed all of these items ahead of law enforcement's 2005 raid, this would have to mean he was onto them in some capacity. By the way, I just have to say this in that vein. You got this email from 2014 where Epstein writes seemingly to a staffer, it could be Larry Vasosky, his pilot, let's get 3 motion-detected hidden cameras that record, thanks. The response back from Larry is, Jeffrey, I already purchased the motion sensor camera from the Spy store in Fort Lauderdale yesterday. I changed them last night, and figuring out how to work them as we speak. It's amazing how small they are, the size of thumbnail drive, 64-hour recording, motion sensor. I'm installing them into Kleenex boxes.
What the fuck you putting cameras in the Kleenex boxes for? Huh? Tell me, somebody tell me, what the fuck was he putting them in Kleenex boxes? What are you putting cameras in Kleenex boxes for? What are you planning on seeing with the Kleenex box?
Now, I'll bring them by later today. Last movie I want to point out in the list is Beyond Rangoon, and here's a summary from Rotten Tomatoes. After the shocking murders of his husband and son, Laura Bowman, Patricia Arquette, travels to Burma and her sister Andy, Frances McDormand, to find peace. There she witnesses protests against the government and the military's violent response. When Burma enters into military lockdown, Laura loses her passport and is unable to leave the country. A professor, Leon Ko, helps her, but this makes her a target of the government as she attempts to reach the border and cross into Thailand. Now, I just want to make note that several of Epstein's accusers came from foreign countries, and it's alleged that he recruited minors internationally, some of them being aspiring models and students. So in this film, a professor coming to the main character's assistance to help escape a foreign country, and it's alleged Epstein even helped victims with visa assistance, college tuition, other career connections as part of a larger means of grooming. Am I stretching? Again, I don't know, just weird. Okay, by the way, if you thought this inventory list was done, no, there's a lot more I gotta go through.
Oh my God.
3 Brookstone massagers, 4 unboxed sex toys, clothing items including 2 black silk thongs, 1 white silk thong, 1 silver-colored chain with clip, 1 pair of women's black hose.
Was they his or was they for somebody else? Was he keeping these for himself? Are they victims and he's saving them? Are they trophies, or was he participating in wearing these things? That's what. Hey now.
Pantyhose, 1 pair of black underwear. So from the looks on this portion of the inventory list, all the items have some intimate nature to them, right? Massagers, sex toys, lingerie. We don't know where these items came from. I go back to my point. I don't know if they have forensic material on them that could have been tested. I don't know, were they used or worn by victims themselves, and they were items that Epstein was collecting? I don't know, were they items bought by him? We can really only speculate at this point. But here's a disturbing document found in the Epstein files that may shed some light. So the top of the document is redacted along with the date of birth below it, but the subject line says Royal Palm Beach High School, 2 dates, 2005 and 2004. So this would be around the time that authorities had raided his Palm Beach property. It reads, summary of activity, brought to massage, Epstein by, was told to get undressed, stayed in thong, panties, provided massage wearing her thong. Epstein rubbed her private area over thong with a sex toy. Epstein then pleasured himself. Number of sessions, 1 connections to other girls, brought to Epstein's house. Now, in that email alone, there are several items of identical nature used in a sex act, and we can speculate that it was potentially a high schooler based on the subject line there, and it could have been very well taken place in Epstein's Palm Beach mansion. And when you look at documents like these, it just gives us a glimpse into what potentially took place on that property. Continuing on with the inventory.
It's so stressful. He had a ranch in New Mexico, house in West Palm Beach, Epstein Island. He had a flat in New York. These people with money, it's just like you can't catch them because you just don't. And they have the space and the privacy to do this shit.
1 frame picture of a white female, 1 desk tray with pens, pencils, tape recorder, blank tape, bullets, etc. So some of those things sound like, typical office items, though it's not clear who the woman in the picture frame that he allegedly wanted hidden. And also strange that bullets were grouped into that list. It's also unclear if these are bullets from a firearm or something else. What we do know is that a big chunk of the videos found in the Epstein files included women dancing in Epstein's property, though the women in those videos were redacted for protection purposes. And with things like a tape recorder and a blank tape allegedly taken from his Palm Beach mansion, you gotta wonder if the same types of activities were happening there as well. Moving on, identification cards including Harvard University identification card, Epstein. Florida concealed weapons permit, expiring March 29th, 2010, Epstein. The Breakers identification card, Epstein. So in 2005, Epstein, by the way, was given the title of Visiting Fellow at Harvard's Department of Psychology, which could explain why he had an ID card at that time. Now, the reporting indicates that Harvard kind of quietly stopped receiving donations from him in 2008. It really wasn't until 2019 that Harvard issued a message explaining the university's connection to Epstein and condemning him. But the New York Times reports that he still visited Harvard 40 more times after his 2008 conviction on those sex crimes in Florida, and even had his own office space until 2018. As for the concealed weapons permit, we can understand why he wouldn't want authorities to know he had the means to own and operate firearms if he was about to get raided on allegations of child assault. But for why he would want to potentially hide a Palm Beach resort ID card, you got to wonder what went on there that he'd potentially not want authorities to know. Maybe that he was a frequent member. I don't know. I'll give you one example, and this is from 2010. 5 years later, I don't know if it has any connection, but message from Barry Zelen to Jeffrey Epstein. Leaving for New York City after being in Florida for 2 weeks. Thought I might bump into you somehow. It didn't happen. It appears that you and the press are still joined at the hip for the moment. Too bad for you. The plebeians stay entertained. I will tell you this, it is an interesting scene at the Colony on Friday night at Club 10, and the Goyim in general know how to have a good time. I like to watch, so Palm Beach is fun. But give me the keys any day of the week. The crowd at the Ferrari show at the Breakers was remarkable for its international participants. The women and men were spectacular, so were the cars. That's my report. Work awaits me. Stay sane. Going back to the inventory, you have one DVD titled Seagate Kids Reunion, dated March 9th, 2005. Now, Epstein apparently grew up in Seagate, which is a private community in Coney Island, Brooklyn. So this DVD could very well be from a reunion that took place in around this time. There is an interesting email from 2009 that Epstein sent to a redacted party with the subject line, Seagate Reunion, and it reads, "The only time I can remember ever experiencing this much anticipation and curiosity about anything was when I went to the freak show in Coney Island as a teen." I don't know, maybe it's just making a point, making a joke. Freak show, anytime you mention Epstein, though, gotta call it out. All right, now I want to look at the final items on this list. 1 2005 calendar, miscellaneous greeting cards, announcements, personal letter, lab results, and last but not least, $2,256 in cash. Okay. As for the plans in this particular calendar Epstein allegedly wanted removed, you have to wonder what he had written down. But what is more interesting is the idea of Epstein wanting to hide lab results, right? Could they have been STD tests, pregnancy tests, drug tests? Because knowing the allegations against Epstein, including of secret children, there's just endless possibilities. You got one email from a later date in 2012, involves a lab test. It says, quote, make sure you take some form of antibiotic for the private region, a woman's private region. Cleocin or some such. You've had many men's private parts in just a few weeks. Then you go to this email, April 23rd, 2012. Jeffrey, I am a clean freak. I contact my doctors for every little thing. Not so many, always with the same and always with condom. We'll take a test. That's always useful. I'm a bit surprised to see these messages. Epstein responds back, I only want good for you. Now, when it comes to the exact amount of cash that Epstein allegedly wanted out of his Palm,
he knew somebody had something. He knew somebody had something. Because he's saying, I only want good for you, but you've had many men, few weeks. And she says, not so many always with the same. So it's like, you know something that he knows something she don't know. And he trying to make sure he try to catch it before she figure out what it is.
want good for you. Now, when it comes to the exact amount of cash that Epstein allegedly wanted out of his Palm Beach mansion, I couldn't find anything in the files that points to that particular number around that time. But it is a little suspicious, and that it's only under $3,000, because that's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. So where else did he have money hidden? Maybe, I don't know. Now, I know that inventory list was a lot, but I got to go through some email correspondence that was found in the Epstein files that further proves, or seems to prove, these items were taken. So this was from August 2009. It was about a month after he was released from jail in Florida. And there seemed to have been a request from Epstein's accuser, Virginia Giuffre, regarding certain evidence. So this is an email that Epstein forwards to his attorney, Roy Black, and then his attorney, Martin Weinberg. The email is from William Riley with the subject, Epstein, and it reads, Bob, over the weekend I learned that plaintiff's counsel are looking to get from me the computers and paperwork I took from Jeff's house prior to the search warrant. I have them locked in storage and would like to know what to do with them. They are no longer needed in the criminal case, I assume. Is it possible to give you these items for your review and safekeeping, or give it to Darren Indyke or back to Jeff, etc.? And Indyke was Epstein's personal lawyer and co-executor of Epstein's estate at one point. I've attached my inventory and some of the photos of the items I have. Roy Black directed that the computer drives be
So he knew he knew they was gonna have a warrant because she got it before the search warrant. So why were you hiding stuff?
cloned, and he would have the results of that effort. The cloning was done by a forensic specialist, Dave Kleiman. Let me know ASAP, Bill Riley. So the key there, moving computers, paperwork prior to the search warrant. I mean, an argument would be that this material was moved in anticipation of the investigation, right? And by the way, I will tell you, the Telegraph also explained what former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Reeder said when authorities searched Epstein's Florida property in connection with that initial Florida State investigation, those charges. Quote, the place had been cleaned up, and he added how certain computer material appeared to be gone. By the way, if you want to learn more about those communications regarding storage units or lockers, we have a whole Sidebar episode out right now. It's up on Law and Crime's YouTube page where you can check it out. But that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. We're also up on NBC's
Yeah, that man is crazy. 41 dirty secrets, disturbing items. Secret storage unit. What? What? And I'm in shock. I'm shocked. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Tell me what you think. This was a lot.